So, hello all, back again with another video, and this time it's a second part for the video on Metasploit, all the things, the basic. Continued video from the course Advanced Network Exploitation Expert. So if you don't aware, I'll just go through this YouTube channel and you'll get that course information. All right, so let's get started. As we already aware, the best practice to start our Metasploit framework console is to use MSFTB with help of run as an argument. When we do, it will verify whether database is running or not. If it is not, then it will start, of course. Let's wait to it get started. Perfect. So as the Metasploit banner says, it has somewhere 2233 exploits and some auxiliaries with some post modules, how it will be utilized and how we can use those in order to perform an attack. We're not gonna perform an attack, but we're gonna understand the use cases. Let's start with the help command first, and we can type help. We'll get all the different options or commands if supported within this console or Metasploit framework console. And yeah, as we will be focusing on module based or script based, let's just take it further. So here we have module commands. That is something we'll be focusing on first. And yeah, so within this module commands are to load, unload modules, search for the modules. Modules are nothing but we can say scripts that are available within the Metasploit framework, the one which we saw somewhere, some number of exploits, auxiliaries, so on and so forth. So this module commands help us to manage those exploits or manage those scripts. So let's start with the very first, which is use. Or let's start with the search first. Let's not go with the use and search in order to search for any random scripts or exploits. Okay, so here we go. We'll go with the search and search for, let's say, bad blue. It's well known old school exploit for the bad blue software. And here we have. So when we search for any string, it will going to find that an entire list within the database. So if I search for, let's say, SQLI, it will going to find SQLI word from the entire scripts within which can be auxiliaries, which can be exploits, which can also be a post module. Anything related to SQLI, it will going to display here. So this search command really help us in order to find the exploit within the Metasploit framework. Once we find such information, what else we can do? We can use those exploits. We can use those scripts in order to exploit or perform that specific attack or scanning activity or whatever it is designed for. So let's go with this index value 1. In order to use or in order to execute those scripts, there must be some arguments, and to supply that argument, use is something we can like trigger first. So we can go with like use 1, which is the index number for the same, or else what we can do is we can go with, well, with the name, the entire path of that specific script. So if we hit enter, we go. Those exploits are saved within the Metasploit frameworks directory, share directory, where so we can navigate to slash usr share Metasploit framework, and it will be modules exploits are here. We have all the auxiliaries, encoders, evasion, exploit, and whatnot, right? So let's go with the, let's say, exploits, the one which we are targeting. So this is just path for the same. Right now we are at the very first exploits. Within exploit there must be a Windows directory. Let's see the Windows. Yes, it is. It The next directory will be http. So, and the last is your file. If I ls grep for bad blue, here we have that in a Ruby format RB. You can modify that as well here if you really wish to or need to. Right now we are within that particular exploit. We can go with the same using this like use and the index number. So it means the same. So right now what I'm gonna do, use 0 in order to toggle, yeah, different one. Go back by the same one. Or else we can provide the entire path. Right. So now we are within that particular exploit. We have chosen one particular script. As we have chosen the script, we can move ahead to find the different arguments that it requires or different variables. So by just typing this option, it will give you a designed one or designed option for that particular script. What it requires is something you can find within the column name required. If it is yes, you must provide. If it is then it is something like fair enough. Okay, not in need. So this is something related to your script that is required. Script must contain a payload, and that payload is something you can choose from. So you can use any of the payload during execution of this particular exploit or execution of the script. What is payload? If you are not sure, no worries. There is a dedicated session, dedicated video for the same. It will be mostly the next one, in which we'll be starting with our Venom creator or MSF Venom, right? So let's move ahead. Exploit target. We can also use show in order to get more information. So let's say show targets, and it will going to give us a different options or alternatives for the same. We can also go for show payloads in order to get the list of payloads supported by this particular exploit. For now, let's just stick with the options. All the different options we can supply is displayed here. If you want advanced option, you can just type advanced and should be good. Here we have all the different advanced so-called options. Those are of course not a need, but something you can give it a try. So if you want to specify a different user agent or something that wasn't there, and there are some more like adding a proxy and whatnot. So this is something like an advanced version of this options or argument that can be supplied throughout the execution of the script, right? And here we have another payload option. There are also so many different possibilities or options or arguments. So yeah, you can dig in order to find more information. There is a description. Go read it once and to understand it clearly. It is not something super difficult, of course, for someone at least experienced. You probably. And yeah. So the next thing we are focusing on is the other options or other arguments that we can set or we can specify a value for. So here it says this R host is required. R host is the target host, right? Destination or victim machine. R port will be the victim port and so on and so forth. So how we can supply values for the same? For this activity, we can use help, of course, in order to get a list of commands. And here we have. So all those core commands are something should work here. So the get will going to get the value of that specific variable. Get g will going to get a global variable. I'll back on this topic what this global so called. If I scroll down, there is the same set and set g. This is something we will be focusing on. So let's give it a try. So the first here is our host. And say set our host and our host value will be 10.0.0. Whatever you really wish to, whatever the victim IP is. Now it is set. If I say get our host, it say it is completely configured. You can also verify by just typing options, of course, and you'll get all the different options or arguments that is required. We can also set our port, let's say 8081. Options, and here we go. Our port is set. You can also go for get our port. It means the same. If you just wish to get the values, right? Same way, there is one more argument here, which is get g, of course. Let's say get g our host. It says right now it's not configured, of course. What get g and set g is, it is going to set a global variable. So for example, if I'm setting our host as a global to, let's say, 10.0.0.18, right? And if I just confirm whether it worked, it says specified as a host, not as a our host here. So set g our host 10.0.0.18 configured. So get g our host, here we go, it is configured. If I type option, our host is 10.0.0.18. I'll search for again this pad blue. Instead of going with the first one, now I'll say use 0. Now if I type option, you'll find this our host is pre-configured. So this global, what it will gonna do, whenever this our host variable is required for the particular exploit, for the particular script, for the particular module, what it will gonna do, it will gonna set whatever the value you have specified. You can specify just using set g, it will be configured. Same way I can just type instead of our host, let's say our port 8081. Now if I type options, here we have 8081. However, if you again set instead of g our port to 8082, it will be overwritten. So this local variable, something like this we set right now, will be overwritten whenever it is specified. So global will not gonna be considered when the local variable is set and configured. So remember this small thing, but really important to know. The next and final command I'd like to add here is from the creds, from the credential. So what it's gonna do, it will gonna list all the credential in the database and manage, not the list, just it will going to manage all the credential in the database. You can just type creds, it will give you whatever the credential is there. If you wish to add a credential, you can just type creds space add username, whatever the username, let's say Rob, password, say please subscribe, and really this is something important should be added. This is your domain name or a host name. If you are logging in with the domain credential, if you have the domain name credential, you can use that. If you have the local one, then the host name will be there. For example, let's say I have domain probensive.local, then I'm gonna specify here. If I don't have a domain machine, if it is just a local account or a machine account, then it will be a machine name, probensive, or whatever the machine name is, right? So yeah, this is something I would really like to add it here. And if I now type creds, that creds are saved that we can later on use for our different activity. We no need to go here and there in order to find, like just type creds and good to go. Everything will be logged basically. Last but not the least, here I would like to add another command, which is history. So what history will going to do, history will going to display not this history, probably a log, yeah, not the history will going to list all the commands that we have added throughout our current session. And there is one more, which is a log. Here somewhere should be low log, probably log. Getting that log. Here. So developer commands from the developer. So it's a log. I type log, it will going to display if there is any error or anything. If you got a connection from a Metasploiter, some this, everything will be logged. So anything related to error, or if you were trying to exploit and you find some error, you can use this log in order to get the required information. So yeah, that is it. That is all planned for this specific topic, which is the basics for Metasploit framework. We'll be moving ahead with the MSF Venom or Metasploit Venom creator. Right now, that is it. That is all. See you later. And yeah, if you like, if you learn something new, then hit that like, comment, and of course, you can share to someone who's in need. So that's it. That's all. See you next time. Good day.